Hello, assalamu alaikum, good morning, khushamdeed, ji ayanu, goeiemorgen.
Pakhair agale, ni hao, chude chumme, washwale, ohaya genzaimis, guten morgen, hola, bonjour, privyet, kaifahal, hale shamachatore, ahlan wasalan, marhaba, buna, mucho, gracias, swabi up, and a very amazing good morning to everybody who's tuned into PTV World and watching World this morning alongside the very amazing, the very talented Shazia Hashmi and Shahzad Khan. Hello Shazia, how are you today?
I'm absolutely great, and so are you, amazing and talented, mashallah.
Oh, thank you very much for saying that. Well, it never came like, I think it took you 1.5 years to say or to come up with a compliment of such sort for your colleague. Come
Oh,
on.
come on. Maybe I'm late with a compliment, but you know, I do believe in your work. And you were absolutely doing some amazing work on the weekend as well. The reason why you couldn't join us yesterday.
Yeah.
Tell us all about it. How was it?
Okay, well, in the first place, I'm very sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I tried making it to work yesterday as well. But unfortunately, I kind of reached Islamabad at 5 in the morning. And then when I slept, I just passed out. And when I woke up, it was too late for that too. So I'm very sorry for that. Otherwise, I would have been here. But other than that, it was a great event. And I love doing, outdoor events too as well, because the energy is great. People can connect with you and whatnot. And then at the same time, I had free cinema tickets to give away. So there were a lot of people. And I kind of made sure that, I'm going to give it to anybody and everybody as well. But other than that, Shazad, today I think that we have picked up on a very important topic.
Yes.
It is very essential. But then I have a few reservations with that too. But in the first place, for example, saying or, giving somebody a compliment, helping somebody, I think it all begins with humanity, and one needs to be instilled with characteristics of humanity.
Absolutely, I do agree with you. Shazad, I understand where you're going with this introduction of humanity. It is going to be sort of a serious topic, yes, but to begin on a lighter note. Humanity is not always something that you need to bring out in a time of conflict or war or anything like that, anything negative happening around us, but it's also something that stays with you, throughout all forms of life. I mean, in order to save people, to save the planet. And just yesterday, I came across a news. I think every one of us reads about, having to eat insects in the future because, of course, there's shortage of food. And I read that this is also sort of service to humanity because they have low carbon footprint, of course, and then they have huge nutritional value as compared to meat. And it also fulfills this. Yeah, and it also fulfills the protein deficiency. So if we're looking at the future to save humanity, are we really going to be eating insects?
Oh, no. Come on. This is not what we're talking about. Okay?
I know, I said on a
we're not
lighter
going to
note,
feed
though.
you insects today early in the morning, ladies and gentlemen. Other than that, I think whenever we speak about humanity, humanity is actually not having a fabulous relationship with your spouse or with your kids or with your family. Ladies and gentlemen, I think humanity is much more than that. I think humanity is not that you talk about empathy or ethos at the time when, when you're actually sitting down with your brother or whatnot.
Right.
But I think empathy is all about all of those core values which are sustainable. And, you bring them out so that the society can actually connect with those values.
Absolutely.
And they will be sustainable only if everybody is going to practice them. Because, ladies and gentlemen, wherever we go in life, whatever places we dwell, whatever places we set our foot on, we take humanity amongst us.
Absolutely.
And whenever we talk about humanity, so there's this one thing which came across my head, and that was fabulous, that, they say that charity begins at home, and humanity is also labeled as charity. So I think that these are the things which we do require. But then I'm going to open up that Pandora box as well, which I don't think actually carries quite a lot of positive things. Now, for all of those people in the outer world, for example, people we work with, people we do business with, people we probably hang out with, or, our cousins, our family members. I think that all of these people, we do have this trust deficit amongst us. And I think that we really need to be honest about it.
Absolutely.
And then at the same time, for example, even if we are involved in businesses, we see that people actually have a way of not getting the job done 100% the way they're supposed to be. So, 90% the job's done, 10%, somebody ate some money, things like that. So, and, we've seen that people have been taking advantage of people who they think cannot actually afford to probably proceed with law. Or things like these. So, which way are we going? What kind of generation gap are we talking about over here? These are the things which we'll talk about. And what is humanity? Because humanity, ladies and gentlemen, is just not a trait of a human.
Absolutely.
It's a trait of an animal too. And which is why, there was this, a baboon was actually promoted to the rank of a corporal because of the fact
in
that,
the World War II,
in the World War I, And in 1916, his owner was actually shot dead. So while the rescuers came, you know, the baboon was actually licking his wounds too as well. So that was a time when he was, or it was actually promoted to a corporal. So I think that, you know, the nature gives us a message of being kind to each other. Are we? This is something which we are asking.
The nature as well as the religion, I mean, humanity, of course, you have explained very beautifully, Shazad,
you
but
very
there's
much.
so many other aspects to humanity as well. We will definitely discuss those with the guests that we have over here. So without further ado, introducing them to you. On my right-hand side, ladies and gentlemen, we've been joined by someone who happens to be the Executive Director of Pakistan Center for Philanthropy. She is none other than Ms. Shazia Maqsood Amjad. Hello. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the show.
Assalamu alaikum, Shazia. It's good to be here. And
always good to have you.
I think you've chosen a topic which is very relevant for discussion because जो हम अपने इर्द-गिर्द देखते हैं, we realize that, you know, it's something that perhaps it needs to be reinforced or needs to be re-talked about. I think it's a value that that perhaps is very much there, but yet not there.
Exactly.
Right.
So,
thank you very much for saying that. You know, you actually said whatever I wanted to say too as well, and that too in a nutshell. But alongside Ms. Shazia, ladies and gentlemen, we have been joined by
someone who happens to be a social activist and a humanitarian, of course. He is none other than Mr. Jawad Moeen. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to the show.
Welcome. Thank you for inviting me here. And today the topic humanity is one thing that we are really lacking about. When we say humanity and we are made humans, then I wonder how we become humans without being humane.
Absolutely.
So the word human is derived from word humane. So when we become humane, then of course the humanity sustains.
You know, I think that you've said it wonderfully, and I think I can rephrase it by saying that, you know, we are mankind, but I think we need to be kind first and then man too as well. But let's get it started, ma'am. What is your core definition of humanity? How do you deal with things, you know, in your daily life? Because that's where you actually get to see whether this person is humane enough or not.
You know, I'm a big fan of Rumi. And Rumi said kindness is all. So I think humanity is basically and intrinsically linked to kindness. So at whatever level, whether you as an individual or whether at an organizational level or at the very, how should I say, the level of the lowest level. So I think the grassroots level. So I think the first and the foremost thing that really drives, I think, and is the principle on which humanity is based is being kind.
Yes.
And that too across board, across religions, across race, across ethnicity, across I mean it cuts across all definitions and all boundaries of I think even the living beings on this earth.
Yes, crosses all, goes beyond the horizons.
Goes beyond the horizons. So kindness towards the animals. I mean I think this is something which is again very much part of our religion. But I think we do adhere to it. But I think it needs to be as I said earlier, it needs to be reinforced.
Exactly.
Right.
And I think it's very important that it's taught not only by curricula, but it is also most importantly to be taught by example.
Absolutely.
Because as children in school especially, I think that's where they learn their basic principles. That's where they get their ethos, and also from their homes, of course.
Right.
Exactly.
So I think our education system has for the longest time, I mean, one, we failed to deliver, especially in the public sector system, and secondly, I think we have restricted the definition of education to just relating to books, and not you know, really sweeping across and teaching them how to be humane and how to be kind and how to be generous and how to look after not only the living beings but the environment that is around us.
Absolutely.
I think it also requires humanity to understand and to nourish and to cherish that also.
Yeah, you know, very rightly said, and I think the educational institutions themselves are not the only ones to blame. So many other bodies come into this circle, of course, where we need to discuss where we're lacking. But moving on to you, Mr. Jawad, your idea or interpretation of humanity.
Actually, what I believe is that this is one trait that we get differentiated from the animals. I mean, animals do care. I mean, I have seen the mother of a kitten is loving the kitten, I mean, by purring and by caring her. But that doesn't mean they are not humane. They are humane, but the basic responsibility of what we are being made humans is to be humane.
I think they're Kitain though.
Yeah.
It'll be difficult for them to be humane or expect from them to be humane too as well. But that's perfectly all right. I think you've hit the nail on the head too as well. But please continue. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
And the other thing is, what I believe is that there are not some traits on which we can say that a person is a humane or not. Humanity, though it based on the three basic principles: the love, the kindness, and the empathy. Yeah. We have been heard a lot about love is in the air. It means love is everywhere. Yeah. Love cannot be felt. I mean, love cannot be seen, but it can be felt.
Yeah.
So there are.
Have you felt love so far?
Yeah, of course, from my mother actually.
I was just about to ask you whether you were married or not.
No, I'm single.
So you haven't experienced love, and love is not in the air for him, ladies and gentlemen. But other than that, this was on a lighter note. But then I think that it is our responsibility to make sure that we keep on reinforcing, as ma'am has said over here. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, and whenever we talk about an example, I think as Muslims we have one of the most finest examples all around the world, and that is Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We can learn from his life as well. But right now, we're actually going to share 10 facts of how to be humane. And when you guys will actually come back, she's also going to pull off a question. Let's see what she needs to ask. Good morning.
Well, these were, ladies and gentlemen, 10 facts about humanity. Humanity is what we are talking about today. Shazad, you know what I feel like? In whatever culture or whatever setting we are born in, we are blindfolded by so many things. Like I'll tell you, probably by our culture, by our religion. I'm telling you why I'm saying blindfolded. We'll move on to that, okay?
Go ahead.
By our gender identity, of course, by the type of caste that we have, by the type of color and creed we belong to, right? Yeah. These are sort of blindfolds because when we grow out of them, when we start removing them one by one, for example, if I stop caring about my religion only and the people belonging to my religion, I think that is when I'm becoming more humane or, moving towards humanity. If I care equally about all religions, if I care equally about all colors and castes and everything, all cultures, empathize with them, have compassion for them, I feel like that is probably a step towards humanity,
exactly.
Right? And everyone has to grow through it one day or another. I mean, you're definitely not born with it, but to learn, to pick around from your surroundings, that is when I think you're becoming more humane.
Well, that's fabulous. You've said it right, and you've hit the nail on the head once again as well. But very quickly, because we had a difference of opinion over here, ladies and gentlemen, while you were going through the facts, me and Ma'am Shazia were actually discussing something else. Okay. So, ma'am, I said, okay, for all those viewers who are out there as well, because this is a repeat telecast for me and ma'am as well. So what I said that, a lot of times when we are actually operating within our own businesses, for example, we're going to give somebody a particular amount of money,
right.
What happens is usually we see that people do not return it. Whenever we're working, we see that, people are very fraudulent in their services too as well. Right. You went to, these are normal examples from daily life. For example, you go to a guy, you want him to fix your car, he'll fix one thing, he'll break another one. Why do we have to go through all of these things? Why can't people think? Because this is what we get to hear. Usually when I was getting up, if I'll make a mistake, my father would say, yaar, insaniyat nahi tere andar. This thing. So, but it cannot be instilled by just saying it. Yeah. It is instilled by an example as well. Absolutely. But Madam Shazia actually has to say that this is not humanity. Humanity is something else. So what is humanity then? I mean, we need to correct ourselves over here.
Well, I kind of agree to disagree.
Okay.
For me, I think the principles that you're talking about and that we see manifested in our society, that is the dishonesty, lack of truthfulness, people trying to take advantage of others, people running away, as you mentioned earlier, after accidents with people's wallets. Yeah. We see people not measuring whatever is being bought correctly. People lying at for every small thing. I think, I believe that that's part of the principle that one is given by one's faith, and it is also a moral compass which is within you, how you set it. And I think moral compasses are really set by families, by
culture,
people.
most important.
Well,
I think education, not even culture.
Not even education, but I think by families, by parents who instill these principles in their children by example. Okay. And the second place where the child really spends most of the time outside homes are schools, at the cost of repeating myself. But And as far as humanity is concerned, humanity, empathy, philanthropy, charity, welfare, you see, that's what encompasses. I mean, that's a bigger picture, that's a macro picture, and within that are your principles which you follow.
Right.
So you need to adhere to those principles, but at the same time imbibe the values of being charitable, imbibe the value of being welfareist, imbibe the value of being humane.
All right.
So
all right.
and that goes cuts across not only religions, castes, creeds, color, everything.
Okay.
But
All right.
but the principles that our society lacks today, I think, are emerging because of not being taught in school, and I think not being taught at home.
Okay, so
I
very
know
quickly.
you have a
Yeah.
question, I'm so sorry, but I think from what I've heard from you, Ms. Shazia, and from you, Shazad, you both are basically believing the same thing, but the only difference is that you very rightly said that all these virtues sort of are in a larger bracket.
Yeah.
We, Shazad and I, believe that that larger bracket is humanity, and all these things are virtue of that.
Yeah.
And you beg to differ, but that's all right, though.
Yeah,
That's
that's
all
all right.
right.
And which is why, you know, this is the right time that I'm actually going to explain you what kind of a nation we are.
Okay.
So imagine recently, you know, there's been a bill which has been passed as well that every other building actually needs to make sure that, you know, disabled person can come in and go out
Yes.
within the infrastructure. So what I've witnessed literally, you know, just a few days ago. So within the hospitals, wherever there is disability badge vehicle, which it should be parked within that particular area, somebody else will actually park their car within that particular area where only a disabled person should park. Okay, so imagine that we as a nation do not give way to ambulances. Imagine that if there was a petrol tanker in an accident, people would come with buckets to steal the petrol. So do you think that we are-
Shazad, it's a
Can I-
matter of, let me tell you,
Yeah, sure.
it's a matter of compliance.
We'll definitely
Yes.
come to you after this.
It's definitely a matter of compliance,
It
because
is.
if you train people by adding penalties or fines, in US, if you park in a disabled parking lot, it says clearly that you'll be fined $500. So I
Exactly.
think it's not the humanity part,
Okay.
but it's
Ms. Shazia, yeah.
it's the compliance part, which then trains cultures, which then trains societies. Then it becomes a value which is passed on. We've not done that.
Okay, so are we
Right.
trying to say that humanity is not a characteristic which emerges from within you, which is an inborn thing? Don't you think, or do you think that humanity is something which needs to be taught to people in terms when they pay fine? Okay, you know, okay, I do not have to do. That's not humanity. Then that's something which I would call punishment, and then learning after you punishment that, okay, you know, I do not want to give 50,000 again, so probably I'll give way to the ambulance, or probably I will
Right.
not park at the same place.
No,
So how do you think the compliance part will actually come in? Because humanity needs to be inborn. Humanity needs to be within you.
You have to just discover that part. Before you answer that, Ms.
Yeah.
Shazia, you know, there's this one thing I probably disagree with Shazad and you on this. You rightly mentioned the compliance part, but then, you know, you say that we don't give way to ambulances
Yeah.
or we take spots for, you know, people
And people
who
have lost
deserve-
their lives, a lot
no,
of people.
I understand that, but that's just some cases, Shazad. And do not give me the example of US or Europe. Those are first world. And ladies and gentlemen, when we say this, it's not only something theoretical that you're reading in a book, they're first world, we're third world. This is actually third world, and there is no comparison.
We're a
comparison.
developing country.
Yes,
Okay,
of
that's
course,
that's
we're a
more
developing country.
heartening
So,
to hear.
you know, I get it, but not to sugarcoat anything,
Yeah.
okay? There's definitely no comparison with us in that part of the world because we are not even that much developed, like you rightly said. In even those parts of the world, I have seen people, you know, take place of people living with any disabilities. I have seen them take their rights, their advantages and whatnot. So it's not just a Pakistani thing to do. I mean, it happens all around the world. Other than that, about the compliance thing, I think it's a vicious cycle. When you're looking at, you know, Shazad, you mentioned that if you go to get your car fixed, something
Yeah.
happens. Even happened with me with my laptop. I went to get something fixed. They rather took parts out of my laptop, and I never knew, unless, of course, it was completely out of use and someone told me someone stole your parts. So I think it's a vicious cycle because it starts when you're lacking something. Majboori ya zarurat jise hum kehte hain, that is where it develops, right? And then it goes on to a larger scale where you lack humanity, and then
See,
comes back
see,
to that. So I think
Caesar, I again tend to disagree. You know, we've been facing a lot of the kind of problems and challenges that you've just described.
Yeah.
I mean, we face them every day in our lives. But I mean, slightly diverging from the topic here,
Okay.
but I recently realized that the Prime Minister Citizen Portal that has been launched, where you can lodge a complaint,
Yeah.
because that's a kind of a compliance, it's a feedback from the customer.
It is.
And then there is a compliance mechanism.
Right.
So I see a lot of issues getting resolved.
Yeah, they are,
And
they
then
are.
people getting this idea that, you know, they need to be careful before committing the same
Right,
mistake in the
right.
future.
Exactly.
I think, you know, our religion has taught us that it's a system of check and balances.
Yeah.
If there are no checks, the society or the balance is lost. And I think currently the thing is we've lost our balance because there are no checks in place. The minute you put checks in place, because by nature, man, if given freedom, you know, somebody said that power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. So, I mean, the minute, if you give them the minutest of leverage, they'll take the space.
Yeah.
So, you need to keep that check, and this responsibility is with the state.
I agree.
And the state's institutions.
No, so I agree with the part of check and balance, but
Yeah.
I disagree with the part where they will take room if you do, you know, allow them everything. I do believe
They will, but
no,
that's-
I
that's
believe in
nature.
equality. No, I agree, Shazad, but I do believe in equality, and I think if everyone gets a fair chance, there is not going to be, you know, these some major evils that we see in today's world. But moving on to you, Mr. Jawad.
okay, but let me give my piece of mind
Okay,
too
yeah,
as
yeah, of
well.
course.
So you know where you said that you actually agree to the part that the compliance part of people do not need to do this, but you saying that, you know, people shouldn't actually be taking up that space, but that's not how things are. You know, anybody who's going to get 1% of leverage, he's actually going to go ask for 5% more as well. And this is how things are. And we probably need to correct these things as well. You know, this is something which we need to do. But then at the same time, we've taken out a picture for everybody who's out there as well and for you guys. So, and what we're going to do is that we're going to share that picture on the screen. You guys have to share your thoughts. We will share our thoughts and we'll see, you know, what kind of a message we're going to come out with. So ladies and gentlemen, this is a new segment we're introducing. And it's
called
Picture of the Day.
Picture of the Day,
Go ahead,
yes.
take a look. Let's see what kind of a picture we have today. Ma'am, what do you have to say about this?
I think it's very much related to what we are talking about.
A helping hand?
A helping hand, most definitely.
But do you think that a single hand can actually help so
I
many other
think-
hands?
I think it can.
It
Or make a
can,
difference.
yes.
It can.
I think
it has
it's-
a huge potential.
I think it's a connection. I think it's a bonding. I think it's ethical values.
Nice, that
Wow,
makes sense.
well, that's great.
And can we remove the space between picture of the day and the hashtag, though?
The hashtag is
Text.
picture and then the rest is off the day as well. Well, my take on this picture, ladies and gentlemen, is that anybody who's out there to help somebody is actually providing them with a ray of hope, and he's actually making sure that people still believe in humanity. You know, it does not really matter how much material you have to help people with, but I think all of what you have, if you're ready to share, I think people will surely be in love with you, and this is what I call humanity.
Absolutely. I think that if you just, you know, move your hand forward for help, you are going to be making a huge difference. Maybe that person didn't know that probably more than one life he's impacting.
Yeah.
And that is what I think humanity is.
Exactly, that's wonderful. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to head out towards a short break. Don't go anywhere, because when you guys will come back, we'll definitely want to lend a hand of hope, peace, love, empathy, and ethos through our program. Please make sure to do that. Stay tuned. Good morning.
Good morning. Welcome back to World This Morning, ladies and gentlemen, with the super energetic Shazad
Whoa.
Khan and the very smiling Shazia Hashmi. I said smiling because my team is actually, reiterating upon the fact that I have to keep smiling throughout the day.
Well, it's not really important. I mean, whatever you feel like. But then at the
I feel
same
like smiling,
time,
but I don't have the energy to.
I think smile is the best curve a body can
I
actually carry. I think that's
And
what
speaking
it
of
is.
agreeing, there's so many things, ladies and gentlemen, that Shazad
Whoa.
and this side of the, studio, we're agreeing and disagreeing upon.
I think
but that's
I'm pretty
totally
much-
healthy. But
No,
that's totally healthy because we're learning.
No, I'm pretty much in line with Ma'am Shazia, what she has to say, but Shiza over here is
I
actually
have
getting
my
along the way that
reservations.
she's actually going to disagree.
Yeah.
But everybody's got their own opinion, and respecting somebody's opinion, I think, can be the very basic rule for being humane, ladies and gentlemen.
I like
Because
that.
I've
I
seen
like the
people
link.
ending up in arguments and people debating over things which they do not agree to with each other, and then they kind of fight.
Oh,
And I do not
right.
want to fight. I want everybody to love each other.
And
You
should
know,
I
it is
tell you
very
something?
important.
Yes, like you mentioned that if we disagree upon something, we just literally start fighting.
Yeah.
Like people watching Afghanistan-Pakistan match the other day. But that is
Yeah.
just one thing. So Shazad, all my life, I thought, I have this, of course, being a Pakistani, I have this nationalism and patriotism, which makes me sort of sometimes resent the other part of the border, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So all my life I thought if I were ever to sit with someone belonging to that side of the border and have a conversation, I'd be super furious and probably, punch them and whatnot. Everyone thinks about that.
Okay.
But this was last month when I was abroad. I happened to sit with a lot of people from that land, and we spoke about a lot of things. Of course, I had my arguments, they had theirs. It was a friendly discussion, yes, but that, of course, made me feel like there's always room for understanding other people.
Yeah.
You are making a judgment based upon only the facts that you know. Probably listening to that side of the story is definitely going to make your mind grow, yes,
Exactly.
and then make you a better human.
Exactly, and as far as I've had my conversation with people from all over the globe, I don't think that anybody's got any problem with any individual. It's just the governments, they have problems.
It's politics.
It's not the individuals. Everybody's in love with everybody, and people know how things are these days. People are very well aware. But now, very quickly, this is, I think, a very important question, and people do that quite a lot of times. I know you need to ask a
No, I
question,
don't.
but
I'm
this is
just-
something which is very close to my heart.
Okay.
And I've seen it, I've witnessed it myself. But I'm going to start with you, Jawad Sahib, and then come down to ma'am as well. Now, what I've witnessed in my life is that if there's somebody who really needs to do something for you, and if he or she fails miserably, you're not ready to do the same for them too as well. In the first place, you're not going to give them time because they haven't done it for you. Don't you think that humanity is all about being selfless? Or do you think it is about you scratch my back and I will scratch yours?
I love the question.
Thank you.
Actually, what I believe is that humanity is what we do things around here. Actually, how we do things, how we tackle the things, how we encounter things. It's all about in our actions.
Yeah.
It's how we choose to be.
Yeah.
So that's make a culture, and the culture makes the social values, and that
Yes.
makes a society.
Yeah.
So basic thing starts what we choose to be.
Okay.
And bringing in.
So what do you choose to be then?
Actually, I feel in every sphere of life, in every field, from academic life to job life and the responsibilities, and even in the different spheres, the lawyers, the accountants. Whenever we are going through difficult phases, what I feel is that we have ethical responsibility to being honest.
Yeah.
Honesty is it's the crux of being humane.
Okay, that makes sense.
No, but I was asking you about being selfless. You know,
Yeah.
how many times, there are situations in our life where we actually have to do something for somebody and then they will do something for us in return too
Yeah.
as well. But don't you think that humanity is one of those things where you actually have to be selfless? You need to have a resolve within your own self, otherwise you cannot be humane. Do you think that this statement is correct?
I feel you have to come out of your comfortable box to be humane.
Yeah, that's correct.
Because I, being a co-founder of Social Echo, a volunteer group, we are working with climatic changes.
Okay.
Because we feel, we have researched, we have made a feasibility that after 2025, there have been a lot of drought and there have been a lot of rain and the flooding.
Yeah.
So we had to plant trees right now to make it comfortable for the next generation,
Yeah.
to make it sustainable for the next generation.
Yeah.
We are dealing with the education, we are imparting education, we are promoting the education to the orphanages, being a co-founder and a volunteer of Social Echo.
Right.
So
And why are you doing all of this? This is something which people
Yeah,
should
what
know.
are you getting in return?
a contented heart.
Wow. See, that's
the answer.
that's humanity.
I think that answers your
that's-
selflessness question.
That's
as well.
humanity restored, ladies and gentlemen. But let's see what Madam Shazia over
like the
here has
answer.
to say about it. So, being selfless, is it important to be humane?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you can't be a human without being human.
Yeah.
So I think it's what makes up your soul. So, and I think I have never come across anybody who's not essentially good at heart, who is essentially not really, at some point in time, has done some good.
Yeah.
So it is a value which is within us. How we display it, that's a different matter. How we practice it is a different matter. We choose to do it differently at different times, and some are more consistent. The better ones amongst us who do it consistently.
More focused, you
More
know. They
focused,
just do
yeah.
not deviate. And ladies and
Yeah.
gentlemen, talking about one of those person,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, we cannot definitely forget the services Abdul Sattar Eidi has rendered for the country, from having nothing in his pocket to creating world's largest ambulance network, that too for free. This
And
is
a
Abdul
legacy that
Sattar.
will never die.
Exactly, and this is Abdul Sattar Eidi for you, ladies and gentlemen. Humanity restored. Take a look.
जो मलंग कहते हैं, भले कहीं सियाचिन से लेकर नगर पार तक सारे पाकिस्तान में सेंटर है, होम फॉर होमलेस। किसी को भी लावारिस मिला, इसका काम है उठा के उसको दाखिल करना। ना जात पात ना मजहब, सिर्फ इंसान इंसान को माने। मैं हूँ अब्दुल सत्तार ईदी, मैं हूँ पाकिस्तान।
जगह नहीं है हमारे कि हमारे बच्चे हैं और एक कमरे का घर है तो हम अपनी वालदा को नहीं रख सकते।
घरों में बूढ़ों की इज्जत नहीं है। तालीम याफ्ता हो गए तो इंसान नहीं बने। निकाल देना। रोज के रोज 5-6 बूढ़े मेरे पास पहुँचते हैं।
मेरे पास रहने को घर नहीं था, मेरी वालदा हो मेरे पास, तो इस वजह से ईदी होम की चॉइस की और यहाँ पर आया। ईदी साहब को एक बड़ा इंसान पाया।
I have come to live in Karachi. I came to know very much about this well-known and noble person and sympathizer with all people who are in trouble.
हमारे पास हर एज ग्रुप के अलग अलग वार्ड्स हैं। बच्चों के लिए अलग हैं, टीनेजर के लिए अलग हैं, एजेड के लिए अलग हैं, और जो बिल्कुल मेंटली रिटार्ड हैं या पागल कह सकते हैं जिन्हें, उनके लिए हम लोगों ने अलग वार्ड बनाया हुआ है।
अभी भी इंसानियत को नहीं मानते। हम कबीलों में, सिस्टम में बटे हुए हैं, फरका परस्तियों में बटे हुए हैं, और अब सबसे बड़ी बला आ गई, पढ़े लिखे इंसान बने, लेकिन सबों में खामी इंसानियत की खामी। हम इंसान नहीं बने। मुझे सैकड़ों अवार्ड मिले, 250 के करीब। टोटल इनकम 75 करोड़ रुपये। और कहीं भी दुनिया में इमरजेंसी होती है, पाकिस्तान में या पाकिस्तान के बाहर, मुझे अल्लाह ने वसाइल दिया। पाकिस्तान हमारा मुल्क है, कहीं से भी इसको नुकसान पहुंचाने की कोशिश नहीं करनी चाहिए। ईमानदारी से जो भी काम करते हैं करें। पाकिस्तानी जैसी कौम दुनिया में कोई नहीं है। थोड़ा सा हमारा सियासी, मजहबी, कबीला निज़म उसको छोड़ देना चाहिए। इंसान बन जाना चाहिए, इंसानी नाते काम करना चाहिए।
Well, this was Abdul Sattar Eidi for you, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, his legacy is never going to die. Although there might be some elements in that setting which, maybe planning to bring down the setting, which is never going to happen, of course, because Pakistan stands behind this. But this is just one of the examples of the amazing initiatives and people who reside inside Pakistan, and they're doing some amazing work for the people in need. And PCP actually has quite a long list of few of them. So we will again be in conversation with Ms. Shazia over here. Ma'am, tell us about some of the organizations that are selflessly working towards
And you've
humanity.
certified those organizations.
Yes,
as
so
well.
I mean, Eidi has become an icon for us.
Yes.
And he stands, he's a symbol.
Yeah.
He stands for the charity and the welfare work that's happened in Pakistan. But I'm happy to tell you that he's not the only one. So there are many organizations, and I think wherever there are gaps, wherever there are needs, whether it's health, education, water, sanitation, there are some excellent non-government organizations, civil society organizations that are doing amazing work in Pakistan. And Pakistan Center for Philanthropy, I think, gives them, through its certification program, a credibility lens, saying that yes, we have looked at these amazing welfare charitable organizations, and we endorse that these are organizations that can be trusted, and people can give their donations, can give their charity, can give their time, can volunteer with these organizations. And I tell you, when I look at the work of these organizations, my faith in humanity at least is restored on a daily basis.
That means a lot.
Because there are initiatives, there are people who are working selflessly for the people who are underserved in this country, becoming their voice, becoming their resource, becoming a source for an information, holding their hands. Actually, the picture that you showed in your second segment, I think it really depicts and really reflects Pakistan civil society holding number of hands across the country.
Wow,
and it's wonderful, and you've said it so beautifully that I could actually feel the goosebumps in myself too as well. But then at the same time, very quickly, just a naughty question, which I'm known to ask, and that is, so at PCP, since you hold a very strong and a very staunch position, do you think that people usually, call and ask for favors, or probably say that, madam, aap ye hame certification de dein, otherwise, we know how to deal with things?
So Shazad, the world is not without surprises, and you tend to get one or the other, a few times a year. But I think at PCP we strongly believe in adhering to principles of uprightness, of integrity, of honesty, because I think it's not just about these principles, it's also about maintaining the trust of 200 million plus people. Because if you are saying that, give your donations to this organization, or if you are saying that this is a certified organization, we are actually carrying the load of responsibility on our shoulders. And we would like to do that part of the job very transparently and with full accountability.
Well,
and if you can't do that, you can't sit with us.
And thank you very much for saying that and reassuring too as well. That's great. Jawad, what about you? So what about ECHO? Let's talk about that a little bit as well, because we are only left with 2-3 minutes, or whatever you want to say, please go ahead.
So ECHO deals with E stands for education, C is charity, and charity is a broad term. H is humanity, health, both. And it also includes the green health, like the climatic changes. And O is opportunity for sustainability. Like we evaluate, we do need assessment, we select a family, and we make them self-sustainable by imparting some, sometimes the education, sometimes we give them little funds to build themselves through cottage industry. And that's the way we are dealing with ECHO.
And that's great too as well. Thank you very much for being with us. It was wonderful to have you.
Thank you, Shazad. I think, Shazia, you guys do a wonderful job, and it was a wonderful opportunity to speak about number of, I think that today's conversation had a number of threads and themes flowing through it.
I know. It was, although like quite a large thing to cover, but we did touch upon several things.
Yes. And I think you did a brilliant job.
Thank you
very much.
And what I believe is that the basic humanity is taught by our Prophet, peace be upon him. Because when we studied his life, he was always being caring, he was always being honest, he was always being truthful, truthful to his job, truthful to his links to the society, truthful to the other bonds of life. So when you are truthful to your field, to your education, you know what you are going to do, what your job is, and you are, आप उसको हलाल करते हैं. When you are honest at the ground level, so we could say that the government would sustain and the government would be caring back. Because I being a tax consultant, whenever a person approaches me, he used to say, यार हमारा इतना tax बना दो. He never says, I have this much income. So when you are expecting this much,
So what did you do? What did you do? Sorry, I'm sorry that I'm
I guide them. I guide them. When you pay in the money, you get it back.
Okay. So you guide them. But then have you actually ever given them the same tax amount which they wanted?
Actually, when I guide them, I counsel them, and I get them a little bit changed.
Okay, well, that's great too as well. Ladies and gentlemen, everybody over here appears to be on the right track, and that's what we want for everybody else. Thank you very much for being with us. It was wonderful to have you. But before wrapping up, there's this one simple message, ladies and gentlemen, and that is that, I've got some very basic rules in life, and I want to think clearly. So first things first, whatever you do in life, there's one thing which I'll think. Obviously, Allah needs to know whether, I need to know whether Allah will be fine with this action of mine or not. And then the latter part is that if my mother will say yes to something which I wanted to do, or my father will say yes or no. So these things will actually help you in life too as well.
Right.
And creating a parameter whether some things you should do or not.
Absolutely, Shazad, I do agree with that. That was actually a very beautiful thing to hang on to as well. I believe, speaking in terms of humanity, I think there have been thousands and, hundreds and thousands of years that the universe has been existing. There have been millions and billions of people. But, Allah chose this moment for you to be in it and for XYZ people to be in it. There's definitely a purpose behind it, so be a helping hand to them. That is what I believe.
Exactly,
absolutely.
that's great. And ladies and gentlemen, it is very well said within our own religion as well that, if there's somebody in need, he or she shouldn't actually be saying that to you. You should understand this in the first place as well. But please do write to us on our Facebook page, which is with the name of...
Well, this morning.
And just because we were talking about humanity, I think that our flow has gone down as well. We are more settled. And on Daily Motion and YouTube, it's
also
going to be
this morning.
And the repeat's going to be at
11:05 p.m. tonight.
Till the next time, 1, 2, 3.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, there's this one small message for all those people who are within the government offices, and that is that, as Ms. Anam very rightly said as well, that the prices are going up. And prices for everything, in fact, is going up within this government. I'm very sorry, but I'll be blunt over here. Even though I work for a government channel, but I think that this needs to be out there. I'm going to be honest with my job. People's salary have not even increased in the last 3 or 4 years, which definitely is not this government's problem. But please make sure that if you're going to raise the prices, raise the incomes too.
Right, that's absolutely true. So, ladies and gentlemen, international health coverage for everyone, everywhere. That is what we were looking at. If there's anything you need to write to us, write on Facebook page with the name of...
Well, this morning.
On Twitter.
Well, this morning without a G.
Daily Motion on YouTube.
Well, this morning, well, this morning.
And the repeat you can catch at...
Well, we're certainly not sure about the repeat because it's a special transmission, but we'll definitely update it on our Facebook and Twitter and Instagram.
Perfect.
So please make sure to follow us over there. Till the next time, look after yourselves. Bye-bye.
Good morning.
Thank you very much.
You've outdone yourself, undoubtedly. अच्छा अशरफ साहब, क्विकली हम इनकी परफॉर्मेंस पे बढ़ने से पहले, आपने भी तो पीटीवी के लिए एक शो किया था जिसमें पैनल का हिस्सा थे, मशवरा मुफ्त है। जी। सना उसकी एंकर थी, तो वो एक्सपीरियंस कैसा रहा, कितने मशवरे दिए?
वो बहुत अच्छा था और मैं उसमें कोशिश करता था मशवरा दूं। अच्छा, कोई ना कोई जो
बेहतरीन देखो मैं कौन सा लफ्ज उर्दू गलत बोल रही, बेहतरीन मशवरा कौन सा?
बेहतरीन मशवरा तो नहीं, उसका वाकया एक बहुत अच्छा है कि उसमें खर साहब मेहमान आए थे। अच्छा। गुलाम मुस्तफ़ा खर साहब। मैंने कहा खर साहब, हमारा लड़कपन था, आपकी जवानी थी, तो आप माशाल्लाह काली उसमें गाड़ी में गुजरते थे, फ्लैग
Aslam Afridi, in another statement, also warmly welcomed the visit of Prime Minister and urged to extend tax exemption period, especially for the merged districts industries from 5 to 10 years. He also diverted the attention of Prime Minister towards collection of sales tax and income tax from industrial bills and requested him to issue order for withdrawal of these taxes.
President Dr. Arif Alvi has said Pakistan has the talent to emerge as one of the strongest economies in the world. Addressing the closing ceremony of ICT skill competition in Islamabad, the President has said the vision of Naya Pakistan can be realized by harnessing the tremendous opportunities offered by the new information age. The President, however, stressed that the universities and educational institutions need to equip the youth with the training and education, keeping in view the requirements of the market. This, he said, will help our youth grab job opportunities and turn their dreams into reality. The President said our women are also getting equal opportunities to excel in all fields and aspects of their lives. Dr. Arif Alvi said artificial intelligence is being used as a tool in making decisions and judgments. He said that China has achieved tremendous success in the field of information technology and has become a world leader in IT. He said we also need to do a lot of investment in this particular sector to achieve the goals of development. In his remarks on the occasion, Minister for Education Shafqat Mahmood said China is investing and extending cooperation to Pakistan in different sectors, including the education. He said latest technology has made the process of education for youth far more easier. He said we are also linking up education and skill development with the future technologies in order to prepare a skilled workforce. Chinese ambassador to Pakistan, Yao Jing, said that his country is now also focusing on the development of social sector in Pakistan, including the human resource development. He also appreciated the steps being taken by Pakistan for bringing improvement in the education sector. Chairman Higher Education Commission Tariq Banori said we are committed to provide resources to unleash the potential of our youth in different fields. He said we are holding a different competitions in order to hunt the best talent in the field of information technology.
Now, President Arif Alvi has lauded role of National Disaster Management Authority during natural calamities. He was talking to Chairman National Disaster Management Authority, Lieutenant General Umar Mahmood Hayat, who called on him today.
United States Special Representative for Afghanistan Reconciliation Zalmay Khalilzad called on Foreign Minister Makhdoom Shah Mahmood Qureshi in Islamabad. During the meeting, matters pertaining to bilateral interest, including progress on peace and reconciliation process in Afghanistan, came under discussion. The foreign minister appreciated progress on intra-Afghan talks. He said Pakistan will continue to play its role in political reconciliation in Afghanistan. He said peace in Afghanistan is in the best interest of the entire region, including Pakistan. Zalmay Khalilzad also apprised the foreign minister about the progress on Doha talks and details of his recent engagements regarding Afghan peace process.
U.S. Special Representative for Afghan Reconciliation, Zalmay Khalilzad, called on Chief of Army Staff General Jawad Bajwa at General Headquarters. During the meeting, overall regional security situation with particular reference to ongoing Afghan reconciliation process were discussed. The visiting dignitary appreciated Pakistan's efforts towards peace process.
Earlier, Pakistan and the United States have held delegation-level talks in Islamabad to discuss efforts to promote peace and reconciliation in Afghanistan. The Pakistani delegation was led by Foreign Secretary Tahmina Janjua, while by United States Special Representative...
the toll payment on the toll plazas.
Yeah.
basically certain classes of vehicles are exempted from paying toll, such as the army vehicles with an aero.
With the civil and military leadership during his visit to the country.
Pakistan announced to release 360 Indian prisoners in the current month. During weekly news briefing, Foreign Office spokesperson informed that Indian prisoners will be released in 4 phases. More in this report by our correspondent, Shabir Ahmed.
The Foreign Office spokesperson Dr. Muhammad Faisal informed that Pakistan has announced to release 360 Indian prisoners who have completed their sentence. He said that these Indian prisoners will be released in 4 phases. The first batch of 100 prisoners will be released on 8th of April, while another 2 batches of 100 prisoners each will be released on 15th and 22nd of this month. The last batch of 60 Indian prisoners will be released on April 29. Answering a question, the spokesperson said that Pakistan is ready to open Kartarpur corridor in given time frame, but India cancelled the scheduled talks on corridor. He also informed that India has increased atrocities in Indian-occupied Kashmir after Pulwama attack. Dr. Muhammad Faisal informed that India has not responded to Pakistan's request to provide further information regarding Pulwama attack. Shabir Ahmed Wagra, PTV World, Islamabad.
An investiture ceremony of Rawalpindi Corps was held in Rawalpindi. Commander Rawalpindi.
Federal Minister for Information and Broadcasting, Chaudhry Fawad Hussain, has said the government has directed Federal Investigation Agency to launch a full-fledged operation against dollar hoarding and speculative currency trade. In a tweet on his social media account, he said the operation is being launched in coordination with State Bank of Pakistan and Ministry of Finance.
Minister for Information and Broadcasting Chaudhry Fawad Hussain has said the corrupt elements will not be spared. Addressing a ceremony in Islamabad, he said plundered money will be recovered. The minister said NAB raided Hamza Shehbaz's house on court orders. He said PMLN workers attacked NAB officials. The minister said Pakistan's economy will be revived gradually. The special focus is being laid on housing sector.
Finance Minister Asad Umar has said timely actions by PTI government has brought down trade and current deficits. Talking to news anchors in Islamabad, the Finance Minister said circular debt been brought down by 72%. He termed increase in demand for dollar as reason for the hike. Asad Umar said State Bank indicates stabilizing rupee value in coming days.
Bharatiya Janata Party has announced to scrap Article 370 of the Constitution after victory in general elections. The abrogation of Article 370 will change the special status of occupied Kashmir.
Moreover, in occupied Kashmir, the authorities imposed restrictions in parts of downtown Srinagar following massive protests inside the central jail Srinagar last night. The restrictions have been imposed in parts of Srinagar's old city, including Nowata, which houses the historic Jamia Masjid. Barricades have been erected at several places to curtail the movement of people. The authorities have also put under house detention the chairman of Hurriyat Forum, Mirwais Umar Farooq, who delivers weekly Friday sermon at the Jamia Masjid. At least a dozen inmates were reportedly injured due to the firing of pellets and tear gas shells on protesting prisoners in the jail last night.
International Day of Sport for Development and Peace is commemorated globally each year by international, regional, national sport and development organizations. The day honors the role that sports play in society, whether by encouraging healthier lifestyles or using it as a vehicle of development in areas made vulnerable by conflict, poverty and inequality. More in this report by Ali Andas.
Sport has historically played an important role in all societies, be it in the form of competitive sport, physical activity or play. The right of access to and participation in sport and play has been recognized in a number of international conventions. In 1978, UNESCO described sport and physical education as a fundamental right for all. On 23 August 2013, the UN General Assembly declared the 6th April as the International Day of Sport for Development and Peace, a decision that represented a historic step in recognizing the power of sport and its great potential in advancing positive social change. Sport as a universal language can be a powerful tool to promote peace, tolerance and understanding by bringing people together across boundaries, cultures and religions. Its intrinsic values such as teamwork, fairness, discipline, respect for the opponent and the rules of the game are understood all over the world and can be harnessed in the advancement of solidarity, social cohesion and peaceful coexistence. Through sports, aggression can be controlled, regulated and transformed, and hence facilitates rapprochement and reconciliation between opposing parties. Terms like ping pong diplomacy, cricket diplomacy have their history in de-escalating tensions through sports. Sport has proven to be a cost-effective and flexible tool in promoting peace and development. Since the inception of Millennium Development Goals in 2000, sport has played a vital role in enhancing each of the 8 goals, a fact which has been recognized in numerous resolutions of the General Assembly. This is Ali Andaz reporting for PTV World.
On to international news now. At least 13 Afghan security forces killed and more than 20 injured by Taliban in ongoing clashes in Afghanistan's western province of Bangesh. In the latest assault on Afghan forces who have faced devastating losses in recent years, Taliban fighters smashed through government defense lines near the city of Bala Murghab, capturing several checkpoints. The Defense Ministry said Afghan forces had made a tactical retreat from a number of checkpoints in the district to avoid civilian casualties. The Taliban said they had conducted a coordinated attack on a series of government checkpoints, killing 13 security forces.
Saudi Arabia has opened a consulate in Baghdad for the first time in nearly 30 years in a sign of improving relations with Iraq. The new consulate, which will issue visas to Iraqis, was opened during a 2-day visit by a delegation headed by the Saudi Minister of Commerce and Investment. Riyadh seeks closer ties to Baghdad in an effort to counter growing regional influence. Iraqi Prime Minister Adel Abdul Mahdi is visiting Iran end of this week and plans to visit Saudi Arabia later this month. Saudi Arabia cut ties with Iraq when it invaded Kuwait in 1990.
Now, Turkish Foreign Ministry has said purchase of Russian S-400 missile defense systems, which has raised tensions with Washington, is a done deal and cannot be cancelled. Speaking at a news conference on the sidelines of a visit to United States, he reiterated Turkey's relations with Russia were not an alternative to its alliance with NATO or the European Union. Earlier, the U.S. State Department said Pompeo had warned Turkey about the potentially devastating consequences of Turkish military action in Syria and called for the resolution to the cases of the unjustly detained U.S. citizens in Turkey. Turkey Foreign Ministry slammed the U.S. statement, saying it failed to reflect the content of the meeting and contained issues that were not discussed.
The white supremacist terrorist who killed at least 50 people in last month's attacks on 2 mosques in Christchurch, New Zealand, has been ordered to undergo mental health tests. The 28-year-old Australian white supremacist terrorist would be seen by experts to determine whether he was fit to stand trial or insane. The white supremacist terrorist appeared in the courtroom packed with relatives of some of his victims via video link from the prison. He faces 50 murder charges and 39 attempted murder charges.
The world's richest man, Amazon founder Jeff Bezos and his wife Mackenzie have agreed a record-breaking divorce settlement at least $35 billion. Ms. Mackenzie keeps a 4% stake in the online retail giant worth $35.6 billion on its own. Amazon was founded by Jeff Bezos in Seattle in 1994, a year after the couple married, and Ms. Bezos was one of its first employees. Both parties tweeted positive comments about the other in the wake of the announced settlement. The two did not provide any further financial details about the settlement.
More stories to follow right after a short break. Stay with us.
British High Commissioner to Pakistan Thomas Drew has called on National Security Advisor Nasir Khan Janjua in Islamabad. They exchanged views on a range of issues concerning bilateral relations and regional security situation. Both sides agreed to work collectively to improve the bilateral relationship between the UK and Pakistan